name is Beyonce, and this is Philomatik Living, and today we're tackling the topic that's on everyone's mind, inflation and its effects on everyday expenses. With prices rising on everything from groceries to gas, it's becoming increasingly challenging for individuals and families to make ends meet. But don't worry, we're here to help. Today we're sitting down with the Victory Church's Money and Wisdom team in Norcross, Georgia, to explore practical strategies to help you save money and stick to a budget in these turbulent times. Whether you're a single person, a couple, or a large family, there are steps you can take to protect your financial future. So grab a pen and paper because you're going to want to take some notes. I would like to introduce our panelists, Faith, Maya, and Archie. Welcome and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to help us discuss such an important topic. So let's get started. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a long intro. All right, so our first question is, how can individuals adjust their budget to accommodate rising costs across all categories? Archie, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So what it really is about, you should never change what are you already practicing. If you already have a budget, stick with that budget. But you're going to also may have some budget busters like groceries. Let's just say advantages. Groceries has went up, and you want to make sure that you have worked into your budget ways that you can either raise or lower your grocery budget or any blockbuster things that are happening, anything. But also you want to have conversation. If you're married, you want to have conversations with your spouse, but also you want to find somebody, if you're single, also to bounce stuff off of also. So you want that advisory stuff that you have and stuff.
So I can't buy the $6 bread anymore. I need to go down to the $3 bread.
It's depending on what your lifestyle is and how you live and stuff. If you want the $6, you have to change something else in your budget to afford that and stuff.
Okay. Anyone else has a comment on that?
I mean, I'd like to add, this is from a biblical perspective, so never forget to pray. Really invite God into your finances. A lot of times we don't. We say, God, you can do everything else except handle my money, right? So when you pray and you stop and you ask God, you invite him into the situation, he oftentimes has better solutions than we do.
That's very true. That's very true. All right. So how can families manage their budgets effectively with multiple dependents during high inflation? So let's say you have children, you have animals. Like, how do you balance all of this?
Well, I mean, from my perspective, you should have percentages that you target for each one of your spending categories, right? So if you have groceries, let's say you're going to spend 10 to 15% of your take-home pay on groceries. That's whether it's one person or whether it's 10 people, right? You got to figure out how to make that work. I mean, my husband already talked about some things related to groceries, but one of the things that he does, because you can be a little impulsive sometimes in his spending at the grocery store. He walks up and down every aisle, so on and so forth. And so for him, using Instacart or one of the other grocery delivery services has helped to stay on budget.
Oh.
Because you're not in there shopping.
I'm with you there because I go down every aisle. I like to cook. I have every spice known to man in my pantry. So definitely understand that. And
then, you had mentioned pets as well. So with pets, there's pet insurance. So you need to know, like, when does your pet need shots and, different care for your pet, right? And so you need to make that part of your budget.
And see, with the pet insurance, like, I think a lot of people have always been on the fence. I've heard more so than not, don't get pet insurance. It's not worth it. But what will be an advantage of actually having pet insurance?
So honestly, you don't have to have pet insurance. I can see the argument on both sides. If you have a good amount of savings and you're ready to handle any type of situation that is unplanned, then don't get it.
Okay.
Right? But if you're on more of a fixed budget and you want to make sure that when your pet needs care, that it's going to be covered, now you got to do your research, right? And make sure that the policy is going to cover the things that you want. But once you understand that, then you can go ahead and move forward with it.
Okay. What about kids with sports and all their activities?
All of those things, they still need to be part of your budget. So, at the end of the day, like miscellaneous spending, and it should be somewhere between like 3 and 5% of your take-home pay.
Okay.
So if you're spending more than that on your kids' sports activities, then you may want to consider. But also, like Archie said, if you want to spend more than that, then that means it's going to take away from some other spending category. The goal is to make sure that you're still staying within your means, whatever that is for you.
Okay. So then how can single individuals optimize their budgets during high inflation?
So the first thing I would say is it's a lot more easier for singles. Just like we just talked about families, you have kids, you have pets, some singles do have pets, of course, but at the same time, you can take on a second job. It's hard for a mom of 2, a mom of 3 to take on a second job because you have to take care of the kids, help them with the homework. So singles can definitely take on a part-time job to help build that budget that you're trying to budget. Cook your own meals. You don't have to go out every Saturday to go eat. Singles, they have time to go out. You don't have to go out every weekend. Cook your own meals. Use the budgeting app. Be a part of organizations. If you don't have enough, talk to other people, talk to family members. Like I literally have friends that will go to their parents' home just to get groceries so they can save that money to pay rent. And then also you can get a roommate. So you don't have to buy a house during inflation. You can rent an apartment, get somebody else to live in that apartment with you so that way you guys can split the bill and be able to budget for other things that are important. So I feel like it's more easier for singles to be able to budget than someone with a family of 5, 6, 7 with budgeting.
Well, I'm going to play devil advocate here, because I've met a lot of single people and a lot of young people who do not know how to cook, or they absolutely hate cooking, or they say, oh, well, cooking is just as expensive as, eating out now, so might as well just eat out. So what would be, I see you have a comment.
YouTube videos.
So the thing is that you should never go grocery shopping and then go eat out. What I'm saying is that
Pick
you
one.
need to pick one. You need to make sure if you're eating out, that's what you're doing. But if you're going to this grocery store and you're putting food in the refrigerator, you're just wasting money and you're wasting food.
Okay, so I'll play devil advocate again here because, you go after a hard day at work, you go to the grocery store, but now you have to cook the food, but you're tired. So it's like, I'm just going to make a quick run to, get something to eat, and I'll cook tomorrow when I have a little bit more energy.
That never happened.
Yes. Okay, so again, I'm going to go with Faith a little bit here in terms of singles may have a little bit more bandwidth, more space and time to be able to plan. Meal prep is a real thing. Take a Saturday afternoon, a Sunday morning, whatever, and you prep your meals for the week. So then that way when you come home and you only got 20 minutes before the next thing needs to happen, you just pull it out of the refrigerator, you heat it up, and you're ready to go.
That's true. That's true. I've definitely done meal prep, but sometimes things just kind of get out of hand, and so I go to the grocery store and then I waste food because I just need something right now, and so I understand. Just pick one. So if I don't really feel like cooking, don't go to the grocery store.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And the truth really is, how bad do you want it, right? Again, going back to, if you're allowing God into your finances and you really want him to bless you, then you know that there's going to have to be some discipline, some things that you change in your behavior. So if you're willing to do that, even though it may be difficult, it is something that you can attain if you put your mind to it and you allow God to.
Yeah, because the budget is all about being disciplined. If you get to the point you feel like you're out of discipline, so I can give you a story. At one time, I was very out of discipline because I was at Starbucks all the time. So
Platinum member.
Yeah. So you have to be very, very disciplined and understand where your money is all going. Like we say, you always need to give all your money a name.
But how did you start going to Starbucks?
Well, I stopped going to Starbucks. I started making my own coffee. And I figured out that, hey, I can make the same coffee they make. I can do the same thing. Just go on Google and learn how to do the same thing they're doing.
Okay.
Yep, Google will tell you how to make the Starbucks.
Yes, it will.
Well, I have seen the book circulating. I think someone used to work at Starbucks, and now they have published unofficially all the Starbucks recipes now.
Yeah.
So
and this is not about Starbucks, by the way. Right?
Yeah.
So,
But I'm just saying,
whoever's coffee you like,
Yes.
you can make it at home.
even if you're a person that likes to eat out and sometimes you like to cook, you can go into restaurants and figure out what you're eating and go home and emulate it. Because I have done that several times.
Yes.
So yes, and it's cheaper when you emulate it because you know the ingredients, you know what you have to purchase and stuff.
And you have more leftovers
you
and
have more
everything.
leftovers, yeah.
But I think ultimately it really goes back to, are you a person who cooks or not? And if you're not, then you need to have a budget for eating out, right? So what does that budget look like? How much can you spend when you eat out lunch and dinner, right? Maybe you can only spend $15 at lunch and only spend $20 at dinner. To me, that's still excessive when you consider it over, just eating at home. But if you set a budget, you know where you can go, use loyalty programs and things of that sort to make sure that you're staying on a budget, even though you may not be eating at home.
Okay. So I want to kind of elaborate on, you mentioned like putting, names and stuff on different categories. So how would people who have medications, who, have disabilities that kind of matches, because even prices of prescriptions and stuff is going up. How should some people go without the prescription if they can, or should they just kind of like take something from a different category to be able to compensate for that as well?
I can speak on that. I know a lot of the pharmacies like CVS, Walgreens, they have a membership program. So you can always set up that reoccurring prescription for a cheaper price, because I see a lot of commercials about that. So you can, if you know you have to be on this medication, set it up as a reoccurring prescription with them, and that way they can deliver it to you at a timely fashion. Usually insurance covers it, but sometimes it doesn't. And going generic helps as well. So it doesn't have to be the fancy named medication. You can do generic and it still works the same way, and that helps you reduce the the copay or out of pocket deduction that you have to pay for that medication.
And also you should reach out to the manufacturer of the medication also, because sometimes the manufacturer will pay your copay. Some people don't know that they will go in and they will look at it and be like, okay, if you're trying my medication, I'll go ahead and pay the copay for you. And then they also have the good RX, and they also give you discounts on certain medications also. So you should look in. There's many opportunities, just like buying groceries and stuff. There's many opportunities for drugs now and medications now that you can use and stuff.
Well, I definitely did not know that. That's actually really, really good. So thank you so much for that. So how should earners adjust their budgeting during budgeting strategies during high inflation? I know, Maya, you mentioned percentages. How does that look? As far as how much should we I know it kind of depends on what you're earning, but like a generic term of like 10% for groceries, 10% for this category, 30% for bills. Like, how does that kind of look for strategies?
Well, I mean, it's going to depend based on your situation, right? Your demographic group. Are you single? Are you married with kids? So on and so forth, right? But everyone is going to have percentages that they should follow. But in terms of being in an inflationary period, what you want to be able to create is something called a needs-based budget, right? So in a non-inflationary period, you maybe have a little bit more wiggle room to spend and, to purchase different things. But what are your bare necessities? And so if you know what that is, then you can adjust yourself to be able to just, buy the things that you need as opposed to the things that you want. The other thing that's very important, I talk about this in my book, I have a book called The Money PSA, and that book focuses on saving. Savings is debt insurance. It is also a way to help you during inflationary periods. So if groceries are going up by 10%, but you have a little bit of money over in your savings, then it's not going to impact you as much because you have a little bit of a cushion, right, to be able to protect you if grocery goes up or if your light bill goes up or whatever the particular category may be. So I think it's important, one, that you have perspective, and the perspective is all about what are my needs versus my wants. And then if you have savings, then that's going to be able to protect you and provide a cushion when the inflationary times come.
So when you're saying as the savings. I shouldn't go dip in it every time I go grocery shopping. How does that work then?
So it's important that your savings account is not immediately accessible to you. Okay?
Spread it out.
It needs to have a little bit of a delay.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, a lot of the online banks, for example, will allow ACH transfers between your regular checking accounts.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a business day, for you to get that.
Mm-hmm.
And so during that day, you're asking yourself, is this something that I really need? And when you have to wait and you have to plan and strategize for it, then sometimes that changes our behaviors, right?
Yes.
So I have seen many people have success with saving
Mm-hmm.
when they put in just that little bit of separation.
Okay. Awesome.
And on that,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the online banks have a higher interest as well.
Yes, ma'am.
They have a higher
Yes,
interest.
ma'am.
So you're better off just having a savings online that you can easily access, and also you're earning a better interest rate on that savings account. So that puts you in a better position if comes inflation, you have extra
Yes,
money
ma'am.
available.
Okay. So what are steps individuals can take to find immediate relief or struggling to cover bills? So let's say I don't have a savings. Like, what are some steps that I can take to cover bills, but also maybe to start saving?
So the first thing you should do is you should start thinking about starting an emergency fund. Just starting off a little at like saving money a little. And then the other things you can do if you're struggling at those times, you can go to your local church. Your local church will help you. Also, you can go to your co-ops. We have one right here in Norcross. I think they changed the name.
Norcross Co-op.
Norcross Co-op. And then you also can seek out family, ask them help and stuff. But most of all, you just need to start off starting savings and figure out how much you can save and stuff. If you don't, it's just like Maya said, you don't have that cushion to do those things. And you also have the ability when something happens, like if your car breaks down and stuff like that, you don't have to worry about using that credit card. You can use your savings and emergency fund for those things. That's what those things are for and stuff. Those credit card, that's what a credit card is not for. You don't want to use a credit card because they're charging you more than your cash is, and so you don't want to do that and stuff.
I think a lot of times it's hard for people to save because, like you said, sometimes when you have that instant, I could just transfer it back. I think some people, myself included, forget to go and put it right back and everything. And so what are some, I know you said the one-day savings, but like what are some other ways that you can actually save and be able to continue to save and maybe not always pull from it as well?
Well, I mean, personally, we set up an automatic draft from our checking account to our savings. So then that makes it, almost out of sight, out of mind. And so, you leave it alone. Steady plotting brings prosperity. Hasty speculation brings poverty. That's one of the verses that we talk about all the time. And so you really do have to get into a mindset and have the behavior of just letting it go to a separate place. But a lot of that comes with understanding what your budgeting categories are, because I think what happens with savings is that people think, okay, well, I have an emergency fund, but guess what? You didn't save for this car repair that you need, for example, or you're going to have to pay for tires or ad valorem taxes, from a vehicle perspective. There are lots of things that if we sat down, we could plan out, certain expenses that are going to come up in the next 6 months to a year, and you can actually save for those. Your vacations, things that are happening with the kids, all of these things you can say, you know what, I'm going to need money to buy school clothes, in 3 months, right? And so you begin to just put away money for those activities, and then it's available for you. But again, you do have to have that separation. So yeah, if this tied in with your checking account, you will easily go into it. But the automatic deduction has worked well for us.
Okay. What advice do you have for managing credit card debt during high inflation? So let's say I have $30,000 in credit card debt. How do I start paying that off in a high inflation?
Cut it up. First thing first.
Great answer. That was a great answer. Yes.
First thing first, cut it up. Just put it somewhere. Stop using it. And then start paying little by little, little by little. Because sometimes people forget They're like, oh, I'm paying $20, but then you're spending $100. The interest is eating up the balance. So what's the point of you even making the payments? Because during high inflation, the interest rate goes up. You don't have control over that. So cut it up, stop using it, and then pay gradually. Whatever you have left over, put it on that card, because you have to take care of yourself first. You have to pay your bills first. You have to do the basic necessity. Credit card is the last thing you want to start putting all your money on. I mean, if you have a lot of money left, yes, put it all on that credit card and pay it off, because the interest rate will eat up everything you're putting into that credit card if you keep using it over and over again.
So should you cut it up and close the account, or just cut it up?
Don't close the account. Just cut it up. Stop using it. Because it depends on how long you've had that credit card. It might affect your credit usage, and that brings down your credit score. So don't close it out. Don't close it out yet. Just pay it off. If you still need to revisit it, depending on how long you've had that credit card, you can still continue to use it when you know how to manage it. When you know how to manage it. But if you don't know how to manage it, if you keep paying interest every month, then there's no point. Just cut it off, pay it off, and then maybe you need to close it out. Because if you're putting yourself in debt every single time, maybe the best thing is to close it out. Yeah.
So I just wanted to add a little bit more strategy to what Faith is saying. She's absolutely right. Cut it up. There are two different methods to managing your credit, just debt in general, right? Snowball and avalanche. Heard of these things?
Yes.
All right. Yes. So what's the difference between snowball and avalanche?
Snowball is slowly rolling. It's like small, but an avalanche is like,
So the difference, yes. The difference between snowball and avalanche is with snowball, you start with the lowest balance first. So you order all of your credit by the balances. You take the lowest balance. That's the one you target first. And then when you pay off that balance, you use the money that you were leveraging to pay that card and roll it to the next one. So that's why they call it a snowball, because your payments get bigger and bigger over time. Now the avalanche is about interest rate. So you pay your credit card with the highest interest rate first, because in inflationary times, your interest rates can be very large, and they can, supersede any impact of paying off principal. You may want to use the strategy of paying credit based on the interest rate first, because that may get you the farthest ahead. So definitely, sit down with someone if you're not sure, to make sure that you're following the right strategy for your particular situation. You can also call your credit companies and ask them if they will make adjustments to the payment, maybe the pay date. Like, maybe if the credit card is due on the 1st of every month, but you don't get paid until the 15th, will they allow you to change your due date, things of that sort. They may or may not work with you, but if you pray first. See, I'm just going to keep saying it. So, invite the Lord into the situation, then make the phone call. You never know if they may be willing to work with you.
Okay.
But also, once you get disciplined and understand what that credit card is, you pay it off every month. And then you move to just a cash-based living, cash-based. And then you want to know, you know what you're using your credit card for and all that. So you just pay it off every month, and that keeps you safe. But like, there are some people that use using credit cards because they get their points, they get all those things, but they have the discipline. They know they have to pay it off every month and stuff.
Okay. So how can individuals protect their existing savings from inflation? So let's say I have, $20,000 in savings. I'm not really using it. I'm able to manage my income to be able to cover bills and any blockbuster expenses. How can I kind of protect that savings, whether it's in maybe investing some of it to kind of increase it? Like, what would be some strategies to handle that, to protect it?
So from a savings perspective, you really want to try and understand how much you need, right? Because if you want to go to investing, is your savings adequate, right? So again, going back to the book, there are several different layers of savings, right? There's emergency, then you prepare for future expenses, so on and so forth. So if you have sufficiently allocated your savings, then you can consider investing. But the question that you're asking is really out of your control, right? Interest rates are not something that we're going to be able to predict. Even if you decide to make an investment, purchase a home, purchase some fine art, whatever the investment may be, you can't predict how much that thing is going to be worth in the future, right? You hope that it's going to be worth more. And obviously you want to seek wise counsel so that you can make smart investments. But at the end of the day, every investment comes with some risk, right? And so the higher the risk, sometimes the higher the reward, but it also could be, to your detriment. So you never want to invest more than what you can afford to lose, right? Make sure you have your savings appropriated first before you begin investing in earnest. That makes sense.
So speaking of investment in home purchasing, I have a lot of people that I know who are renting right now, and cost of renting an apartment is absolutely skyrocketed in the last few years. And so a lot of people who are renting are feeling pressure to go ahead and buy a home, but as you know, home interest rates are have dramatically increased. So what would be your advice to people who are kind of pretty much in a hard place right now? It's like they can't really move right now because renting is high, but they can't really qualify for a home right now, or it's just really expensive to get a home.
I would say start saving for the down payment.
Yeah. Wait it out. It will come down. So start saving for the down payments because it's not, and building your credit. So if your credit is not where it's supposed to be, work on your credit, start saving for the down payments. If you can save up to 20% for down payments, that is fantastic. Yes, because the more you put down, the less you're likely to pay on a monthly basis. And it's not just about buying the house. Once you're done buying the house, you have to mow the lawn, you have to pay HOA. Preach. You have to furnish the house because it's a brand new house. I don't want my old raggedy couch in my new house. I don't care if it's a brand new house or an older house, but it's a new purchase. So you want it to look good. So it's not just about, okay, I have my 20% down payment, I can afford the mortgage on a monthly basis. What if something was to happen? What if you lose your job? Do you have that 3 to 6 months of rent to pay before you find another job? So it's not just about buying the house, it's what comes with buying the house, the responsibility that comes with buying a house. So if you're renting and interest rate is high, your credit is not there, wait it out. Start saving, so that way when the time does come, you are ready to go.
So the other thing you should also look at if you're thinking about buying a house, how much you're paying in rent. If you're paying a whole lot in rent, you can't save. So you're going to have to make some plans, either to get a roommate or to find somewhere that is cheaper to live, like even in somebody's basement or you might have to move back home if you want to save and stuff. I know everybody don't like that answer, but it could be an answer that if you want to buy a house, you have to do some extreme measures to save that money to get to that 20% or how much you want to down pay on it. Because you also got to remember, when people look at it, the only thing that they're looking at is how much I'm going to have to pay. They don't look at also they have insurance, they might have a PMI, they might have other things, closing costs, escrow, and all that. So they don't look at all that. All they see is that the glorious thing of buying a house. So the biggest thing is that I feel like is that you need to look where you're at and then move or find somewhere else to stay that is cheaper. Or you can go get a roommate, and then that helps both of you to go move to the future of buying a home and stuff.
Well, I wanted to actually point out with the home purchase because my husband and I, we recently went through this. We purchased a home in 2021, and a lot of people are not aware that after the first year, your taxes go up on the property.
So your mortgage goes up.
Because of what you purchased it for. So that has caught a lot of people by surprise. And so, but there are some resources that can actually help offset some of the property taxes that come with it. I think we did. I forgot what it's
The
called.
homestead exemption?
Yes, homestead exemption that can help with like lowering the property taxes. But no one actually warned us about that as well. Like
You ain't asked me. I would have told you.
Yeah, you're told.
no one really warned us. Like even like all the people who told us we need to purchase a home and everything. Like there's a lot of information regarding buying a home that we were not aware of, and so I wanted to. I'll probably touch on this in a later episode, but definitely it's been an experience buying a home and having to deal with. It seems like the home started breaking down when we moved in, so it's definitely a lot of responsibility once you purchase a home, and so having a savings is definitely necessary.
Definitely.
Let's talk about business owners. So you were talking about, maybe taking on a part-time job as a single person or someone who has the time committed to it. For people who are looking to start a business or who have a business or a side business, what approach should they take as far as budgeting during high inflation?
Well, I can take that one on. Well, if you're starting a new business, the first thing you should look at is your capital. Mm-hmm. Do you have money to start this business? I mean, you don't have to have a whole lot. Mm-hmm. Depending on the type of business you're going into, it matters a lot. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes you can start your business from home, like e-commerce. You don't have to travel. You don't have to do anything. You just start small, start selling online, and then you build that revenue, you build the capital to expand your business. So having the right budget for your business, depending on the type of business, is the first go-to when it comes to saving for your own business. So depending on what type of business you're trying to start, you can ask family members to help. You can ask friends to help. You can ask your coworkers to help. Mm-hmm. So it just has a lot to do with what line of business are you going to, and then who do you have around you, and what do you have to start the business up.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
So the average small business owner, they start with funds from their personal funds, right? And so what that means is you need to have your personal finances in order for you to be able to start a business and be able to manage that one effectively, right? So this all kind of ties back to personal financial management, biblical financial management, if you will, in order to properly prepare yourself for the business. And as Faith was saying, it's about the capital. And so a lot of business owners get themselves in trouble when they make that first leap, right? Because maybe you started in your home, everything's going well, but you say, I need to grow. Mm-hmm. And so the minute you say you need to grow, well, what are ways that you can grow? There's lots of grants out there and, things of that sort that you don't have to pay back, but it takes effort to fill out those applications and, give your pitches and all these different types of things, right? But if you do that, then you can actually perhaps get the capital that you need. But then there are formulas as well. So, if you absolutely need to take out a loan, you want to make sure that, the capital that you're borrowing doesn't exceed, certain revenue projections and things of that sort. So there's a lot to consider when it comes to businesses and how they manage their finances in an inflationary period or outside of an inflationary period. What I would recommend is that they have a wise counsel, people around them who have done this before, who have been in business for a while, who can, be able to speak into their businesses and provide them the guidance that they need.
Okay.
Yeah.
What tools or apps can individuals use to track and manage their finances during high inflation? I know you guys were talking about, kind of doing a budget and kind of looking at everything and savings and stuff. So what can I use to help me?
So you can use multiple apps. There are multiple apps out there. You can use Every Dollar. Mm-hmm. You can use Quickens, because we use Quickens as a family, but there's a cost to it. But all of them have costs to them. So now all apps have costs. So that's one of the things you have to know if your budget can handle that application and stuff. So, but also you can go ahead and use a good old piece of paper and pen and write it down.
Don't forget about the banks.
And also your bank most banks offer budgeting apps also. Like PNC offers apps like that. And I know Bank of America and all those other alpha banks like applications like that. And they also offer you notifications because a lot of people or if you're in a high inflation, I know a lot of people make mistakes in their accounts, and they let them know when they have overdrawn or when their money is coming in and out. And it also gives you the ability to also, you don't have to go to the bank. You can take your pictures of your checks and move. Like if you get a check from tax returns, you can take a picture of your tax return check and deposit it. You don't have to go out. That also saves your money and time, and also.
Okay. All right. So I know, Maya, you mentioned your book. So tell us a little bit about what we can expect when we purchase the book and how it can help us financially.
So the Money PSA has a byline of a biblical framework to reset your perspective, spirit, and actions. And so what that is all about, 10 steps. It's an easy read, but it's difficult to apply everything that comes in it. But essentially what I'm walking you through is a way to acknowledge God as your owner of all of your things, and then allowing him to help you build that discipline, the muscle around managing your finances, so that ultimately you can be financially free, you can invest at your will, all of these different things. So there's lots of resources around the book and things of that sort. So thank you for allowing me to mention. You can purchase the book on my website, www.hersequoiaconsulting.com. Say that again, www.hersequoiaconsulting.com, or anywhere books are sold. So
Awesome.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever you can find it.
Cool beans. So any last thoughts or advice you have for our viewers today?
One thing I would say is, if you're not sure about your finances, speak to your financial advisor or speak to a banker wherever you bank. They usually have the tools and resources to help you with budgeting, helping you save for your credit card. Like Maya mentioned earlier, you can always call the credit card department and speak to them about the interest rate, about setting up a different time to make the payments instead of the regular date to make the payment. So speak to an advisor, speak to a banker. That's what they're trained to do to help you get to where you want to be. And also pray, and let God direct you and listen to the Holy Spirit.
Similar to what Faith is saying, our connection here is through Victory Church, right? So the Money and Wisdom Ministry, we exist to see you become faithful stewards of all the talents that God has blessed you with. So we do that in many ways. We have budget coaching. So maybe a financial advisor is not in your budget at the moment. Then we have free budget coaching that's available to you. We have curriculum. We offer Dave Ramsey as well as Howard Dayton's curriculum. Well, maybe you say, well, I am underemployed or unemployed. But guess what? We have career guidance. So that whole team can help you to, become all that God has called you to be as well. So just know that there are workshops and lots of resources available to you from the Money and Wisdom Ministry. So we want you to get plugged in with us.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you all for your time and sharing some incredible information with us. We hope today's discussion provided you with valuable insights and practical tips for saving money and sticking to a budget during these inflationary times. Remember, whether you're navigating those challenges as an individual or as a family, there are strategies available to help you manage your finances and maintain control of your budget. By making smart choices and staying informed, you can weather this economic storm and work towards a stable financial future. Stay tuned for more episodes where we continue to bring you expert advice and guidance on managing life in today's ever-changing world. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.